Hello and welcome to the Soul Rest. If you're here tonight, maybe you're tired. Maybe your mind has been running in circles. Maybe nothing is dramatically wrong, and yet something feels heavy. Wherever you are, however you arrived here, I'm glad you're here. For the next little while, you don't need to solve anything. You don't need to be productive. You don't need to improve yourself. You only need to listen. Take a slow breath in, not a forced one, just a natural inhale, and let it go. Tonight's story is called The Bowl You Don't Pick Up Again. There is a kitchen. Early morning light moves quietly across the floor. The kind of light that doesn't rush, the kind that doesn't demand. On the counter sits a ceramic bowl. It isn't special, it isn't expensive. It has been used for years. Oatmeal, soup, late night cereal, small, ordinary comfort. Someone lifts it. Maybe their hands are tired. Maybe their thoughts are somewhere else. Maybe they are just human. The bowl slips. It falls. Clean. Final. For a moment, the whole room is still. You've heard that sound before. Not from a bowl, from something in your life. A sentence that ended a relationship. A phone call that changed everything. An email you weren't expecting. A moment when you realized something would never be the same again. There is always that sound, the internal crack, the awareness that something has broken. And what we do next matters. The first instinct is to kneel, to gather, to fix. We tell ourselves it can be repaired. We tell ourselves if we move carefully enough, if we glue the pieces together patiently enough, it might look like it did before. So we pick up the shards, carefully, trying not to cut ourselves. But some pieces are too small. Some edges are too sharp. Some fractures are too deep. And even if you glue it back together, the line will always be there. You will always know where it broke. This is not a story about giving up. This is a story about understanding when something has already ended. There is a difference. In life, we are rarely taught how to let things break. We are taught how to repair, how to persevere, how to try harder, how to make it work. And sometimes that is beautiful. Sometimes resilience rebuilds entire lives. But sometimes resilience becomes refusal. Refusal to accept what has already happened. Refusal to step away from something that is cutting us. We replay conversations in our heads. We scroll through old photos. We reread messages from years ago. We imagine alternate outcomes. If I had said this instead, if I had tried harder, if I had waited, if I had known, the mind becomes a workshop of impossible revisions. But here's the quiet truth. The bowl has already broken, and no amount of thinking will unbreak it. Let's slow down. Imagine you are still in that kitchen. The pieces are on the floor. You are kneeling. Your hand is hovering above the fragments. Pause. Feel the tension in that moment. The urge to fix. The urge to undo. The urge to not let this be real. Now imagine you don't reach. You don't pick up the largest piece. You don't search for the missing shard. You simply sit back. You let your hands rest in your lap. You allow the break to exist. This is the hardest part. not repairing, not fighting, not analyzing, just allowing. There is a law in life that no one announces out loud. Once the water is spilled, it cannot return to the bowl. You may rebuild the container, but the water is gone. Time works the same way. Energy works the same way. Once you have poured months, years, effort, love, attention into something that no longer exists, you cannot retrieve it by revisiting it. Your brain will try. The human brain is wired to return to unfinished pain. It searches for closure like it searches for oxygen. It believes that if it can understand everything perfectly, it will finally relax. But peace does not come from perfect understanding. Peace comes from stopping the search. And that is not weakness. That is wisdom. Let's move the scene forward. The person in the kitchen stands up, not dramatically, not angrily, just slowly. They reach for a broom, not because the bowl didn't matter, but because leaving shards on the floor will only cause more damage. There is something gentle about sweeping. Each movement is small, intentional, unrushed. This is what letting go looks like. Not fireworks, not declarations, not long speeches, just quiet decisions. I will not reopen this. I will not relive this tonight. I will not check again. I will not pick up what has already cut me. There is a space now where the bowl once sat, an empty circle on the shelf. At first, emptiness feels like loss, but emptiness is also room. Room for something new. Room for stillness. Room for breath. When we cling to broken things, we fill our shelves with fragments. When we release them, we create space. And space is not nothing. Space is potential. You may be carrying something right now. A conversation that never ended the way you wanted. A person who left without explanation. A version of yourself that didn't become what you expected. You might still be kneeling over it, still holding pieces, still wondering how to make them fit again. Tonight, you are allowed to set them down. Not because they were meaningless, but because they are finished. There is dignity in accepting an ending. Notice your body right now. Are your shoulders tight? Is your jaw clenched? Is your breath shallow? Let it soften. Let your body understand what your mind is learning. You do not have to solve everything tonight. You do not have to return to every broken place. You do not have to replay every memory. Sometimes healing is not about confronting every shard. Sometimes it is about choosing not to kneel again. Imagine walking out of that kitchen. The floor is clean. The shelf is lighter. The air feels different. Not happier, not magically fixed, but quieter. And in that quiet, something new appears. A sense of forward movement. Not rushing, just moving. When you stop looking back at what cut you, you begin to see what is ahead of you. Not because the pain disappears, but because it stops being the only thing in view. There is a calm strength in turning away. It does not scream. It does not argue. It simply says, "This has ended, and I will not live inside it anymore." That sentence alone can free years of tension. Let yourself repeat it internally. This has ended, and I will not live inside it anymore. Feel how your chest responds. Feel how your breath adjusts. You do not need to understand every ending. You do not need a perfect explanation. You do not need closure delivered neatly with a bow. Sometimes the cleanest closure is the one you give yourself. You sweep, you stand, you turn off the light, you walk into the next room. There is something powerful about the next room. It represents what you have not yet experienced. New conversations, new mornings, new versions of you. But you cannot enter it fully if you are still crouched on the floor of the last one. Letting go is not betrayal. It is transition. Take another breath. Longer this time. Imagine the air moving through you like light. Imagine it washing away the small, repetitive thoughts that keep circling. Imagine your mind as a lake. When you stop throwing stones into it, the surface becomes still. Stillness does not require effort. It requires non-interference. If something in your life has already broken, you are not required to rebuild it. You are allowed to release it. You are allowed to say, "That chapter served its purpose." Even if that purpose was teaching you what you no longer want. Even if that purpose was showing you your limits. Even if that purpose was simply reminding you that you can survive change. There is relief in acceptance. Not dramatic relief. Not loud relief. But the quiet relief of no longer fighting reality. Reality does not need your agreement. It only needs your acknowledgement. Once you stop resisting what has already happened, your nervous system begins to settle. Your muscles soften. Your sleep deepens. Your thoughts slow. Because the war is over, and you are not fighting ghosts anymore. Imagine placing the broken pieces in a small box. Not to revisit, not to analyze, just to acknowledge. They were part of your life. They shaped you. They mattered. But they are not your future. Close the lid. Place the box somewhere out of reach. And walk away. Not in bitterness, in peace. There is something waiting for you beyond the room of what broke. Not necessarily something grand. Maybe something simple. A quiet morning. A steady routine. A new conversation. A softer version of yourself. But you cannot meet it if your hands are still bleeding from yesterday. So tonight, let them heal. Let them rest. Let your mind rest. The future does not ask you to be perfect. It does not ask you to have all the answers. It only asks you to keep moving. Slowly, steadily, forward. And forward does not mean forgetting. It means not turning back. As we come to the end of this story, notice how you feel. Maybe lighter. Maybe just a little less tight. Maybe simply calmer. That is enough. You do not need transformation tonight. You only need space. And you have created it. Thank you for spending this time here at the Soul Rest. If this story helped your mind slow down, if it gave you even a small pocket of peace, I invite you to subscribe to the channel. Not for noise, but for moments like this, for space, for stillness, for rest. And if you know someone who is still kneeling over something broken, share this with them. Until next time, take care of your mind, and let what has already ended stay ended. Good night.